forgive us our trespasses,
as we
as we
forgive
forgive
those
them that trespass against us.
and
Lead us not into temptation,
but
deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and glory, forever and ever.
Amen.
Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the presence of the public gallery, members of the autonomous Bougainville government, representative of Aitape Lumi electorate in the West Sepik province, deacons from the United Reformed Church of Gaire village in Hiri Koyari electorate central province, and the students of the La Salle secondary schools and Koroboro International School, National Capital District. On behalf of the Parliament, I extend to the visitors a warm welcome to the National Parliament. We have the condolence message. I'll ask the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I move that this Parliament expresses its deepest regret at the death of, on the 31st of March 2023, of the former member for Kokopo and the former Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, late Right Honourable Sir Rabin Amaliu, GCL, KCMG, CSMPC, and places on record its recognition of his devoted service to the people of Kokopo and Papua New Guinea and we extend our profound sympathy to his family and the people of East New Britain and of course the greater Papua New Guinea. Mr. Acting Speaker, he was our country's fourth Prime Minister. He was a notable scholar in his own right before public service and politics. The first indigenous lecturer at our first university, the University of Papua New Guinea. He was the third leader of Pangu Party, following from Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Sumare and Sir Paul Lapun. And so I want to, representing all of us, the country, as well as representing the greater Pangu Party network throughout our country, take this moment and thank yourself for slotting this moment for us to register our sympathy, being the first time Parliament has convened since his passing. And so Mr. Speaker, I want to offer our deepest condolences and sympathy to his family, his beloved people of Kokopo, and his friends and his associates. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The question is that the condolence motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. As a mark of respect to the memory of the late honourable gentleman, I invite all honourable members to rise in their places. I thank the Parliament. Clerk, any petitions? Notices? Clerk.
The Minister for Finance and Planning gives notice that he shall present a bill for an act to amend the Public-Private Partnership Act 2014.
Honourable members, question time. The Honourable Member for Hiri.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Acting Speaker, before I raise my question without notice, to the Minister responsible for intergovernment relations, or shall I say provincial and local level governments, I also acknowledge the presence of my constituents in the Speaker's Gallery this morning. Mr. Acting Speaker, as a way of brief background, the organic law on the provincial and local governments reform was done in 1995, whereby a government structure was realigned and the premiers were replaced by governors, and local governments were incorporated into that organic law, the constitutional law. Thereby, under Section 98 and 99 of that particular law, the local governments, presidents, and the provincial governments were given a seat at the table of natural resource allocation. Whilst the provincial governments are engrossed, and I say the governors are very much engrossed in this development agenda of benefit distribution, and therefore privy to the execution of contracts pertaining to development aspirations of the project area footprint. The LLGs, although probably sign off, I have not seen one since though, will find themselves in a particular predicament that is a subject of much debate and discussion amongst members of Parliament who are related to project area footprint areas. Mr. Acting Speaker, somewhere along the line, as a matter of timeline, in 1995 this reform was done. In or about 2010, for example, the PNG LNG gas project agreements were signed off. In 2014, the PNC-led government brought in the DDA Act, which gives and recognizes districts as development machineries. Since that date to now, there has been a lot of tussling. In 2014, that act was passed. This year, I am informed and verily believe that in 2022, a Hiri SPA, for instance, now instead of the LLGs receiving benefits, the Hiri local level government SPA, for instance, and there are many other SPAs who purport to replace the function and duty of LLGs.
Honourable Member, sorry to interrupt you. We have problem of raising more comments on the questions, and we delay our question time. And
thank you. I'll get to the questions very quickly.
Get straight to your question.
Mr. Acting Speaker, in 2022, I said earlier, in 2023, substantial sums of monies were paid to the Hiri SPA. I'll use that as an example. These funds, and the questions that arise are these. Can the minister, the good minister, produce a report of the audit of these funds that have been delivered or distributed to the SPAs? Hiri SPA being one, and there are many others. But for my sake, the Hiri SPA is of great concern. Is the good minister also able to produce in that report, explain the mandate of the SPAs, its functions and purposes, what it is there to do, and why is it functioning in place of LLGs? Meanwhile, we have the DDAs established and supposedly the development machinery that has been sitting there not being utilized, who are more accountable, who are more in the public realm, who actually report to the DRD. Mr. Speaker, is it true also that in recent payments received by the Hiri SPA, instead of roads being fixed and health aid posts being attended to and water supply to each of these rural communities being attended to, brand new motor vehicles have been purchased by directors of these so-called Hiri SPAs? Is it true? Is it also true, therefore, that the way forward could be, and we look at the existence of these special purpose authorities? What is so special about these special purpose authorities? Mr. Speaker, in finality, I want to ask the good minister also to respond to the various queries raised and the progress on possibility of amending sections 98 and 99 of the Organic Law on provincial and local governments so as to enable members of parliament who are granted great mandate by the people of each respective constituent to represent and advocate and push their development aspirations. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Intergovernment Relations.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I thank the Honourable Member for Hiri Koyari for this very, very important question he has raised. This is a very important question because of SPAs. It's not only applies to Hiri Koyari case, but throughout Papua New Guinea, where project relating to oil and gas as well as gold and copper, in which SPAs exist to provide services to our people. And I am really, really thankful that a member has asked these questions, because this is an issue that I have taken upon myself to address. For a very long time, there has been no reports being submitted by SPAs throughout Papua New Guinea. And so much rumors or stories about so much funds, hundreds of millions of funds have disappeared through the SPAs, whether they're existing SPAs, whether they are legally established, whether they are endorsed by landowners or LLGs. SPAs are instruments established by government, basically to do with agreements between developers as well as PNG government. And SPAs were or are the vehicles by which landowner benefits are channeled through. And as I said, it has been a major problem so far. Let me now answer a question relating to Hiri, and then I can come back and address the issue that has been a problem area for us. Yes, let me start with the last question. The question the Honourable Member asked is to do amendment to Section 98 and 99 of Organic Law, which hinders or which prohibited open members to participate in terms of sharing of benefits. And often cases we find that development projects exist in districts. By the operation of law, open members are prohibited from sharing these benefits. Hence, the problem that has been raised by member for Koyari Hiri. In answer to that question, yes, I have directed my officers, particularly legal division, to immediately looking at amendment to section 98 and 99 of organic law, enabling open members to have stronger say in the benefit deriving from the resources from the districts that they represent. So that issue is underway. As it applies to Hiri Koyari, particularly Hiri LLG, Hiri LLG has undergone lots of difficulties. I've seen the file. When it was established, the board has gone through different phases of people pushing themselves in and replacing the earlier boards, and that problem has existed for some time. And in the vacuum, the funds that have come in from the developers to the national government, which were given for Hiri LLG, were then parked with central provincial government. You can imagine what has happened to those funds. So much funds have disappeared. Okay, there are some projects that have been done, but all in all, lots of funds have disappeared. It's the same story all over Papua New Guinea. Recently, about a month ago, out of concern, I had issued circular instructions asking all SPAs to provide their financial and operational reports as far as how far it can go. Out of 14 LLG SPAs, 8 responded. And I have received their reports. Some reports I'm going through it and I'm not satisfied because the report does not talk about how funds were used. So I'll be dealing with those SPAs. Included in that discussion was Hiri Koyari SPA. Up until now, I have requested for Hiri Koyari to give me a report of their operation. They have not done so. So thank you, member. I'll be seeking that information from Hiri Koyari to give account of all the funds they have received and how they have expended. I can tell you because I have a personal interest in Hiri, particularly as it applies to LNG area, because of my association with the project site areas, because of my marriage to the family. So I've been concerned about this particular, well, we are all married, so I need to talk about that. Anyway, so it is kind of a personal concern for me as well. Currently, I've been told, though I have not seen the figures, but I think in the vicinity of about 17 million has been made available to Hiri SPA, LLG SPA. And I will be demanding from the management and the board of Hiri LNG SPA to give me their operational plans. You cannot spend money unless you have plan. If you don't have plan, you abuse the money. It's right across the board. Whether it's a government, whether it's a private sector, we must have operational plan. So that is where the problem is, and I think that's the reason why. And a member has raised a very crucial issue, and that is perhaps where they are now spending the money to buy expensive vehicles, and I'll make it my business to deal with this matter. But coming back to the questions, I think some of the questions are already.
Honorable Minister, we have limited time for question time, so I would ask you to give a short response to that question.
Thank you. As I said, I'll make it my business, member, to check Hiri SPA, and then I will report back to you. Thank you.
We have a supplementary question. So, Honorable Governor of the Southern Islands, what's your supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. In PNG, like the question that was asked, we have LLGs as a third-tier government, and SPAs are implementation agencies of the LLGs. Minister, through Acting Speaker, can you table where SPAs are established in this country? Whom do they report to? Because a lot of resources have gone to SPAs, Special Purpose Authority, like in my province. I have no visibility on them. Whom do they report to? So I also want to correct you, it's not resource projects that have SPAs. SPAs are established by your department through law or through NEC submission to implement projects initiated by LLGs. Whom do they report to? These are unnecessary structures that is wasting public funds. You already have DDS doing DDA plans, implementation, budgeting. You have LLGs sitting out there and special purpose authorities. There's a lot of complaints on this, Minister. You need to table where SPAs are established, who empowers them, what are their functions, and whom do they report to? Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, and thank you, Governor. You're right. It is by operation of organic law that is special purpose authorities were established to ensure that benefits goes to the people. But up until now, as I've said, there's no visibility, there's no accountability. And I can understand why provincial governments are having difficulty in terms of SPAs, being accountable, held accountable. And so my position now is that I'll be having close consultation with all the leaders where special purpose authorities exist, and to come up with final position whether or not SPA should exist. Because up until now, so much, hundreds of millions of funds have disappeared, gone down the drain, which should make serious developmental changes to the lives of our people. It's a grave concern. So my position, Governor and members of Parliament, through you, Acting Speaker, is to look at this issue again carefully and find a best alternative way of delivering services to our people. Thank you.
Honorable members, yesterday I've asked the member for Central Bougainville to reserve his supplementary to ask question today, so today I'll give him a chance to ask his question. The member for Central Bougainville.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Regarding the question for Member for Rabal yesterday, last time he asked him question on condition below airport. So me like asking question on condition, especially for Kieta Aropa Airport in Central Bougainville. This place valuation and you can sabi make him all run belong any call again.
Honorable member, your question is to the Minister for Civil Aviation, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, my question to the Minister for Civil Aviation. Yes, that's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a supplementary question from yesterday. And the condition of Kieta Aropa is so, I don't know what the situation is, but airline Air Guinea easily goes make flights to Aropa Airport. Is not making it at this point in time, and it's denied the service of the South Bougainville and also Central Bougainville people. So is in that condition. And also, at the moment, there's also airline, Air Nikini make flights to Buka, but Buka also it's a road condition is not so good at the moment. It's deteriorating, so it's need do some work on the road work. I think, and the Minister for Works are where I led to the Minister for Works too at the same time, but I take note of it. This one, but question is about the Air Nikini mi sabe apply ikolong in central. I mean, sabe make him now. So. We work on denying rights and service law people to Central and South Bougainville longan. Na we work along helping situation, especially the development of other services that should have come into Central Bougainville. So my question to the minister is what problem is stop now but any no work along punda longan law this time. Number 2 question. This is a problem at one time by responsible ministry, and we can resolve this problem now. And you know work Lord this time. I think this particular question is so long, and then supplementary question from asked. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Civil Aviation.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I'd like to thank you too, long. Member of Central Bougainville asking question belonging. I believe the question is in 2 parts. One plan I mean up answer him. I'm side rot. By command lo works department. Sorry lo hari mo sem kondisi no good pla. But lo side long runway long Aropa airport. Yes, I got some problem lo runway. Lo di selahap lo Papua New Guinea and mi belajar kesimpulan Guria Tumas earthquakes, and that has caused some of those fractures that are now experienced on the runway along Aropa, which affects now all flights lo go inside lo di selah time. No good balusi land all kind. No good condition all same na. An accident happens. So long just help him to solve good member blue NAC National Airport Corporation and responsible blo this la airport mamikisimo lo look go inside long end lig more lo paini mol sem want him something through but you may not walk him lo fix him. But at the same time too, we're caught between you may stop namel or tupla or you may stop the transition at the moment where you may got funding belong National Asian Development Bank. Usati help me plan 1.5 pla airports and Aropa stop inside la disla los tretim so me plan need lo look long. Whether cost by me put him now lost him and by effective more or you may wait lick now wait him tender process he finish now put him full cost now he go long construction by Kamablo Airport na runway. The post tender process is going to take a bit longer. Na need lo airport to be operational sooner. Then you may not look lo cost factors and then I'll discuss that with the appropriate government on ground. Now you may look at how NAC not work on them more long funding this just repair work that's all to get the port operational again. But Mila using this opportunity too lo make him awareness can lo side belong Asian Development Bank funding cadet number 2. I talk thank you. I go along former Minister of Civil Aviation, Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Technology, Honorable Don Polio, introducing this like Cadet 1 project where most of the airports now are being funded and coming to completion. So thank you, Lodisla, I need NA government, Lodisla time. But me like talk thank you to igolo marape Rosso government. Because me like go inside Ken lo narapla or second trench lo KDEP 2, where now 500 million kina Asian Development Bank by GIM ikam long support him all isla narapla airport where kisim sampla looks awe longen past them long TVWAN program. Sampla lo isla airport or the total funding in US dollars 171.5 million. Na Go PNG's component 8.6 million. Total inside Lokina 500 million. Airports where by kisim look sawe longen aninit located to project national airport long Gurney by kisim asphalt surfacing, new terminal building and associated works. Amount tender yet by process by Gona reveal him. The tender process, as I've been advised, it closed finish law 26th of May 2023. So we're sorting that out now. Narapla Airport and Kiunga Airport, pavement strengthening and associated works. Tendering process is on foot right now, hasn't been finalized yet. Aropa and airport pavement strengthening, new terminal building and associated works. Process blow procurement is still happening right now as we speak. Wewake Airport, runway extension, new terminal building and associated works. Hoskin Airport, asphalt surfacing and associated works. Na sampla long additional long Port Moresby International Airport, lo site lo power and airfield lighting upgrade. Lo make sure that Jackson Airport is adequate enough to take night flying. Long all balus. You got 4 rule lay strip all by look longen lo game lig halpim longen. You got PNG New Sky 2 lo tupla control tower. Mi play look long sanapi 1 pla new pla tower lo netzep lo poromani new pla terminal lo netzep. All right.
Honorable Minister, we have a point of order.
Mr.
Member
Speaker,
for Barney Green.
You asked the minister to incorporate that in a ministerial statement, and he has already answered the question of the member for Central Bougainville.
Honorable member for Barney Green, your point of order is in order. The Honorable Minister, thank you for the information that you gave. I think you can incorporate it in your statement.
Yeah, thank you, Acting Speaker. Miles Logisimo asked him side, so I thought I'll just make it public now. By once and for all, it's done. So I'm thinking below me more same, but the was you like him hurry up more right. So Nubla Tower, legally help him long accident
Honorable
investigation.
Minister, I think I have already entertained the point of order in order, so that will be included in your ministerial statement. Later, I will stop you from continuing with the reply that you made. And I'll ask for the new question.
Thank you.
We have a supplementary member for Rabaul, and then I will recognize the opposition leader. Member for Kokopo.
I'm all right to plata.
Yeah.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Supplementary blomi golong Minister Ken. I think the question that member for Rabaul raised yesterday was into part. He answered the first part, but yet amino answer him this criteria belong awarding all contracts. Takwa Airport is just a newly reconstruct runway almost a year. The supplementary is this. Enough minister talk out long one of criteria that only work long using long awarding all contract, ego long all contractors. Missed up long runway, and I'm looking this asphalt for premix that only been put in. That's why Emmy cracked, because the thickness of that bitumen or the runway, 150 or 250 mil thickness. That's why time Sani Kisim na walk bleed, like crack him up all this runway. So Minister, Acting Speaker, Minister, enough talk out. Lomipla, long East New Britain, all same. Want him time too by lending Fokker 100 because he affect him Bougainville. Time he downgrade him Desela all flights, then he go down to Fokker 100. And now Mipla now we kiss him time on New Guinea Islands. So my question, please, Minister, you talk out flooded. One of kind criteria that you apply work give him, you go inside law contractors. Now hunt up Desela. You may must kiss him all this all experienced contractors that he can build him up on runway rather than us wasting money long all contractors that yes, you may build him road and then after runway and after a couple of months nabay bagarap. Thank you, Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Last me lo sanap ken. Thank you, true. One bell, nothing true. Na honorable member lo Kokopo, thank you lo question blue. Lo side belong the engineering aspect longen bamino kila tumas longen. All right, but I'm happy to get some information for you in relation to that. But normally the engineering will be based on the size belong balus by lane lo disla runway. The boss size lo balusi heavy, then the asphalt has to be a lot thicker, long carrying weight longen. So engineering side longen where mino kila longen tumas, but I'm happy to get some detailed information. That was member, you're right. But in relation to try to get Toko Airport up and running, the best solution right now, and now you may approaching Pinis lo time na patch him sample along the walk here, look him runway operational quickly. Let me remind Mibla Olgetaken, the runway was completed back long 1998. Underneath long advice, long contractor or engineering component, long runway, or sem tokua, there has to be maintenance support every 3 years. Now, unfortunately, that may not have happened since 98. Na miplay got plani guriel or val, and that doesn't help. Na you may got this kind of situation is stop now all sem. So me just like clearing you meet us all. The tarmac lo runway lo tokua probably has deteriorated over time because lo last completion lo walk M98. But I'm happy to announce that the Maraperoso Gaumani look Pinis, he go inside Longen. We're having discussion with ADB right now as we speak. Lo look lo separate funding. Lo hurry up Longen, lo attend lo Toko Airport immediately. Obviously, that's going to be a process that you need lo behind him in terms of kissing ADB lo Toko right lo funding.
Honorable Minister, we have another point of order again, so I'll entertain the member.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I think the good Minister for Civil Aviation is continuing to mislead this court. I beg your pardon, Parliament. The question by the member for Kokopo was what requirements, what criteria was used to award contracts to companies that are selling or building runways, airports in this country. And he's not answering the question. So perhaps he could be direct, answer the question put forward by the good member for Kokopo. Thank you.
Honorable member, your point of order is in order. I think the Honorable Minister, you have already answered the question by giving the aspect of the engineering work. So I would ask you to sum up your reply to that question and we move on. Thank you.
Yeah, look, happy to get detailed information for that specific question. Suppose you like, no got problem long and also me talk me no engineering, planning lo imisidan lo ito no engineer, but I'm happy to look into that matter and give you specific. But let me stress this, please. NAC is part of the process lo determining contractor lo runway na terminal. Kilian, how only scale him na, how only appoint him all man and all yet. Na mi play sa pinis lo problem long National Airport Corporation, which I've been challenged with ever since I've been appointed as minister. Kilian, so sabla long all is no good decision ya. And now me move him sabla line pinisigo na mi bring sabla good pla line ni come inside long end. So Acting Speaker, I'm hoping that from here on, proper decisions will be made, proper allocation on the best contract will be made, and we're hoping to get better result long all this tender process na contractors blue mil airport blue. Thank you very much.
The opposition leader.
Speaker, my question is, without notice, is directed to the Prime Minister. It's a short one. Mr. Acting Speaker, the gold bullion agreement, which was negotiated, drafted, and driven by the government, has been brought before the National Court by a private citizen. And the National Court has ordered for the full details and disclosure of the government-owned company and vehicle that was registered offshore and its share arrangements to be made public. Mr. Acting Speaker, my questions without notice to the Prime Minister are related to this. Will the Prime Minister divulge copies of the agreement and cabinet submissions, decisions, the company details, and all negotiations?
The Honourable Opposition Leader, we have a point of order. The point of order, Honourable Member for Poponeta, what's your point of order?
My point of order, Mr. Acting Speaker, is the matter is now before the courts, and it is improper for the Prime Minister to preempt any findings on this House until the determination is done by the courts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, the matter has been before the court and the court have already made a decision. Court have already made a decision on that, so it doesn't stop the opposition leader to ask the question. So the question can still be asked by the opposition leader.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. The
opposition leader, I think we have another point of order. Minister for Justice.
The matter has the National Court made a decision. However, the matter, they are proceeding on to appeal the matter. It's on foot. So it will not be right for absolutely related.
There's no appeal.
Honourable Minister, the consent of Parliament has been informed by the clerk that we haven't got any notice of that on the appeal, so I will still allow the opposition leader to go ahead and ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Like I said, it's a simple question. Mr. Acting Speaker, will the Prime Minister make available copies of the agreement, the NEC submission, decisions, the company details, and all negotiations and actions the government has taken, and they will have this table in this House for scrutiny in line with the National Court decision, including information relating to owners of the company, shareholding arrangements, why this company was registered in Singapore, and is it private or publicly listed? So many questions are needing answers, Mr. Acting Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Me talk, thank you, Leader of Opposition, ask him this black question. It's a matter of public interest. And so, whilst Tupla Leader, Chairman of Public Accounts, and also Minister of Justice, feel as a matter is tablo court, I think, Speaker, me acknowledge the ruling blue. Court clearing this plan, state also, filing me an appeal, so the matters of public interest needs to be asked, needs to be responded upon, and I'm certainly pleased to make a few answered reply to the question. But firstly, let me acknowledge our leaders from Bougainville who are here in chamber with us. Bougainville is a special region in our country. We're going through the process into deciding on the political settlement consistent with the constitution of our country. They are here, I think, also considering a possible ministerial statement by the Minister for Bougainville on the Bougainville issue. The statement is not ready as yet, but I just want to assure our leaders from Bougainville, the Bougainville peace process agreement since 2001 is an important process that this government and this parliament will be taking carriage of. Our program is clearly defined in the Kokobo post-referendum consultations, in the WABEC post-referendum consultations, and in the ERA Kone signings that we did sign upon between both sides. So to the leaders of Bougainville, thank you for gracing us with your presence today. We certainly take note of your presence, and I look forward to meeting you all after these sessions also. But going back to the gold bullion issue, let me inform the House. Whatever relevant information the country needs to know, especially on matters surrounding the company, the proponent, and the business case, will be put to the public. Because the opposition leaders asked this question, whatever is relevant and consistent with law for us to get it out to the public, we will do so. It's public's entitled to know in a substantial matter like this. But a little bit of advice to through you, the acting speaker. The Attorney General and the Department of Justice is looking at going to court on the aspect of cabinet processes being questioned, midlife through the process being fully dispensed with. I think that's an issue. It's not just for the Marape Rosso government or this government, but even going forward, we need to be clear on what is the time anyone can file in a reference on such a matters when the process is not fully complete. I want to assure this House and the country, the process of cabinet is contestable, but it must come in at an appropriate time, whether before or after, and not midlife through. Government needs to work. Government needs to dispense government policies that must be progressed, and so that aspect will be relooked at. But we're considering the judgment because court orders are court orders. We're considering the judgment and in respect to the court order, relevant information that the court has requested that can, in our considered view, be made public for public interest will be made public, especially matters relating to the structure of the gold bullion business that we want to enter upon. Who owns what? Shares. How does Papua New Guinea benefit? Mr. Acting Speaker, you know very well, government on this side is a pro-nationalist government. Any work we work upon is to get more for our country, period. Nothing less, but everything more for our country under the existing legislative framework we have, and anything we can push to get back more, we are pushing. So the gold bullion will be structured in such a way. The intention to move into gold bullion, gold refinery will be structured in a way that is not harmful to existing industries and the contract, that is not harmful to existing players or businesses in the industry, but make it more accountable. Just like we're trying to account for how many forestry harvests we make in our country, how many fisheries harvests we make in our country. Unbeknown to many of us, individuals smuggling gold out big time. For those who are in the registered big investment harvest that is going on like Lihir, Pogra, Okteri, and Harmony, we've now for the first time since we took office, by a simple amendment to the Mining Act, we now have a data registry link at MRA, and for the first time now we can know exactly what is happening in the processing center in Lihir, in Pogra, soon to be reopened very, very soon. Okteri, our own state mine, we will now set up that in Ramonikol and all mining in our country for greater accountability. This gold bullion conversation is about accountability for all gold processed and produced in our country, so that we can tax proper, landowners can benefit proper, and not operate in shady environment where there is no greater light or scrutiny in the gold business. And so I give you full assurance, Mr. Acting Speaker. The opposition leaders ask a very important question for our country to know in full detail. If there has not been any clarity on this one, I do apologize. But it is not a policy that is programmed to siphon of benefit for Papua New Guineans. Rather, it is structured to get more benefit from us. The current proponents, they've been in and out of our country for the last 10 or so years, from what I've been advised. The proposal earlier that was mooted was a 30% proposal to us and a 70% proposal to them. We're now relooking at, just like we've structured a better arrangement with POGRA, where we get 51% equity and the investors have 49% equity, where we do not pay for equity, but we participate in the cost of restart-up at not 51, but at 36%. As the acting speaker, I want to inform you in this House, James Marape is all about fighting for greater interest of our country from our resources. That is the mark of difference between me and others of past. And I will inform this House proper on what this gold refinery and bullion policy is all about, as you would have noted. And I want to give assurance to you, Mr. Acting Speaker, the opposition leader. I want to assure you, we are not in a rush. We want to get this. It is a big step in all our downstream processing focuses. Gold downstream is the biggest. That is the highest. And we are not in a rush, but to do it proper. This concept or this proposal has been on foot for the last 10 or 11, 12 years. Came in when the O'Neill government was in office. But we're restructuring it so that it is a win for our small people who own the gold resource or sit on the gold resources, our existing alluvial miners, including some of the biggest mouth-offs. I'm doing it for them and not for anyone else. They're already in the gold business. And for us to account for the gold so that it doesn't walk out on suitcases and briefcases, away from a scrutiny on state losing out on revenue from what is our inherent right and resources. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Jimmy.
Deputy Speaker and Acting Speaker today, can I seek leave to extend time next 20 minutes? Or otherwise I can go straight to ask my question.
Honourable Member, I'll ask you to ask your question.
Okay.
You seek leave to ask.
Okay, I now...
Honourable Member have asked for the extension of question time on 20 minutes. Those in favour, stand. Honourable Member, you don't have the support, so we don't have the majority in support of extending the question time. I'll ask you to ask your question.
Leave of the chair to ask you some questions.
Honourable Member, you can ask leave to the chair.
Yep, I did. So I'm...
Leave granted.
Thank you. Thank you, Acting Speaker. My 3 questions, I get straight to the points, is number 1, I request if this Parliament could have a proper chaplain that can be put here in Parliament to at least lead us in devotion maybe and pray with us, and of course pray with our staff in this building. That's my first asking. And my second, medical insurance for our 118 members of Parliament. I would like an update be given, not really today, but maybe this week, next week. And also I would ask the chair for 45 minutes question time can be put to 60 minutes question time, so we do not go into extension, but we can run through to finish the 60 minutes of question time. Thank you.
Honourable Member, your question is noted. by the Chair and will respond in the coming days of session. Honourable members, our question time has lapsed. I believe the member for Mosby South have an explanation. Honourable member for Mosby South.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I'd like to ask leave for the Chair to give a personal explanation.
Honourable member, we have a point of order. The Honourable member for
Mr. Acting Speaker, this house is the house of useless people and primitive animals. Why is this stranger being allowed and given parliamentary privileges to ask to make a statement? He made a statement to our international media. He should not be allowed to make a statement today. He should resign in disgrace and get out of this parliament.
Honourable member for Vanimo Green.
Mr. Acting Speaker, he cannot be allowed to speak in this parliament.
Honourable member Vanimo Green, in respect to your point of order, I think the point of order is out of order. The Honourable member for Mosby South is the Honourable member of this House, elected by the people of Mosby South, and he's still a member, and he has seek leave to the Chair, and Chair have granted him to do a self-explanation, so I'll allow him to make a statement. Honourable member.
I thank the Acting Speaker and the members of this Honourable House for this opportunity to speak today. A lot has been said in the media and on social media over recent weeks, and the people of our nation want to know the truth of what was said and how it was intended and how this was manipulated and what was actually meant by my words. I made comments in a media interview that was targeted at what is better known as social media trolls. They are faceless people who spend their days on social media hidden behind false names. They say the most disgusting things and make the most vile threats on social media. Mr. Speaker, regardless of any office that I represent or position that I might hold, above all else in life, first and foremost, I am a father of my children. And when I saw the vile and disgusting things that were being stated and said about my daughter, I did have a burst of blind fury at these horrible individuals. These disgusting individuals, some in PNG as well as in Australia, the UK and other places, were making sexual threats against my daughter, threatened her in the manner of disgusting remarks. I speak with every parent in this house and every parent of this nation and seek your understanding of how angry and frustrated I was and still am at these trolls. If anyone in our country thought that this was somehow a blanket statement about our people, that is completely wrong. And I apologize, as it was not in that context. In your heart of hearts, I simply ask every citizen to ask yourself, how could I ever say such a thing about our people? We are also talking about my 6 beautiful children and my family who are my life. How could anyone ever believe for me to have such thoughts, because they could never be true? My words and comments against these disturbing people were twisted, manipulated for their own political and personal gain. So again, I apologize for the way my words were misinterpreted. In light of this misunderstanding, I did the most honourable thing by stepping aside as Minister for Foreign Affairs, putting my country first, so to clear the confusion on this matter. I thank the Prime Minister and Cabinet colleagues for their understanding and accepting this decision in doing so. At this point of time, I'm also cooperating with the appropriate authorities on this issue so to clear any misunderstandings. Mr. Speaker, it's a whole new world we are living in today. The internet and all the benefits that it gives to the world and the threats that this also carries. I know the TikTok video that my daughter posted was not appropriate. As a parent, this is something that many of us go through as we guide our children through their early stages of life. I can truly say that the situation that has transpired teaches us a lesson of the dangers of the internet, especially how there is a lack of accountability from people that abuse it. Finally, Mr. Speaker, Acting Speaker, I love this country, the independent state of Papua New Guinea, and all that this country stands for and the hopes that it offers to our people. So to our nation, I say to you that I am sorry for any misunderstanding. Papua New Guinea is my home, it is my heart, and is the place where one day I will be laid to rest. I will serve the people of this great nation in any way that is asked of me. I will represent the people of Mosby South as their mandated leader and a member in this House for as long as they wish me to do so. I thank them all for their overwhelming support and love during this difficult time. I am a proud Papua New Guinean and always will be. From my heart, I apologize to any of our people who misinterpreted my words, which were only spoken against those hateful people in the protection of my daughter. I thank you, Mr. Acting.
Honorable Minister, you may ask from the chair. I will ask you to ask leave from the chair to grant you leave to make your statement.
Mr. Speaker, I asked leave of the Parliament to make a statement.
Is leave granted? Minister, go ahead.
Connect PNG program, financing and implementation, connecting the unconnected, enriching the unreached, saving the unsaved. Mr. Acting Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to provide an update on the progress of financing and implementation of the Marape Rosso government's flagship Connect PNG Economic Roads Infrastructure Development Program. Mr. Acting Speaker, before I do so, Let me firstly acknowledge the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, and Ministers of State, our provincial governors, and the members of Parliament for the ongoing support for this important road development and sustainability program for PNG. Mr. Deputy Speaker, PNG's roads will continue to be essential to the country's socio-economic development as they facilitate 85% of the movement of passengers and freight. Roads facilitate development of much of the natural resources as well as development and movement of more cash crops in the country. In recognition of this, the key economic growth goal of the Medium-Term Development Plan 3 to improve infrastructure with sustainable and disaster-resilient quality to provide more enabling environment for growth of the economy and for the improvement of service delivery. Mr. Deputy Speaker, however, much of the existing road networks were built in the 1950s and 1970s to connect relatively low population and places. Despite significant increases in population and the economy as a whole, many roads remain in a poor condition and many people and places remain unconnected to major economic hubs, constraining trade, business and the delivery of essential services. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the overall cost of poor roads in PNG is estimated to be growing at 750 million per year in road replacement cost, as well as climate-induced weather-related emergency restoration works borne by the state as the asset owner. Another 460 million per year is needed on road traffic accidents, delay costs, and wear and tear costs borne by the vehicle operators and road users around. As a result of the underdeveloped and rundown conditions of the country's road network, decreased road accessibility is a bottleneck to government's aspirations to diversify and grow the economy to 200 billion mark in the next 10 years. Mr. Deputy Speaker, considering the long-term impacts of the declining conditions of the country's road network, the Marape-Rosso government's ongoing Connect PNG Economic Transport Infrastructure Development Program 2020 to 2040 aims to build and maintain 16,000 kilometers of roads consisting of national highways, missing link roads, bridges, provincial and district roads throughout the country at an estimated investment cost of 20 billion. Mr. Acting Speaker, the government's medium-term plan is that by 2027, we must upgrade and improve to highway standard 4,200 kilometers of the 16 priority national highways in PNG and open up 1,800 kilometers of missing link roads, including the Trans-Island Highway, to meet the overall vision of government to create a single uninterrupted national road network that will, for the first time, connect the Momase and the Highlands region into Port Moresby in the southern region. For the New Guinea Islands, East and West New Britain provinces will be connected with a proper two-lane highway standard road that it can facilitate agricultural development, as the two provinces have huge development potential. Acting Speaker, the work on upgrading and improving 4,200 kilometers of strategic economic highways has commenced and will reach 3.5 billion by 2027. The highways will be upgraded and improved to two-lane National Highway Standard, and these highways, which includes Hiritano, Megi, East-West New Britain, Bluminski, Manus, Highlands Highway, and Civic Coastal Highway, serving the main economic corridors, providing critical linkages for major portion of the 85% freight and passenger movement in the affected provinces and the regions. We have, up till now, completed 2,500 kilometers between 2019 to 2022 to bring it to total 50% good conditions from 12% in 2014 of the target length of the national roads network at a total record capital expenditure of 1.354 billion. Mr. Deputy Speaker, unlike before, road users can now experience improved conditions on the main highways for the first time. In keep pace with the medium-term investment targets, there are more than 3 billion worth of multi-year maintenance and capital works contracts that are running at the moment, and another 2 billion worth of works at design and tender stage. Mr. Deputy Speaker, an important part of the Connect PNC program is to construct 1,900 kilometers of missing link roads to standard class 3 for 200 million kina per annum, starting in 2023, which is this year, budget to reach 1 billion by 2027. Mr. Speaker, the target for phase 1 is to construct 633 kilometers out of the 1,900 kilometers. We have constructed 362 kilometers, almost 57% achievement. We are on track to deliver the 633 kilometers for phase 1. By 2027, Finsafen, Karamui, Telefomin, where my electorate is, and Minyamia, with a population of more than 1 million people who are yet to connected by road, will be connected by road by then 2027. The key on the agenda is to complete and open the Trans-Island Highway by 2025, coinciding with 50 years independence jubilee of our country. It will important link Port Moresby and Ley, followed by Goroka, Mereng, Hagen, Wibek, Mendi, Tari on the mainland. What is going to be the first undivided single road network. Mr. Speaker, the other missing link roads include Southern Highlands Gulf Highway, Central to Melinbe Highway, East-West New Britain Highway, Baya Mereng Highway, Gulf Highway, Kerema Kikori, Fisika Road, Ley to Finsafen, Mereng Gulf Highway, Kum Ine Karamui, Purari, Transfly Border Highway, South Coast, Pomio to Kimbe, basically from Kiunga to Ayambak, Tabubil in Western Province to Telephone in Wesibik, missing link, and the Transfly Border Highway from Daru Coast to Whipim Station, all the way to Mohead. Mr. Speaker, once the program is funded and implemented successfully, it will stimulate economic growth and create sustainable, autonomous, fraud zones that will ultimately increase per capita incomes in the currently unreached and underdeveloped remote regions and districts with huge development potential like Miniamia, Finsafen, Telefomin, and Karamui districts. Mr. Acting Speaker, provincial and district roads are important as they serve 85% of our rural population. we have allowed for 9,000 kilometers of provincial and district economic roads to be delivered in partnership with the sub-national authorities to rural standard at 300 million annually between 2023 and 2027. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this will include upgrading and improvement of major arterial road networks for the regional cities of Mount Hagen, Port Moresby, Kokopo, and Lae, and other major towns to Eben Road standard, in partnership with local authorities in the provinces and districts to provide rural population the opportunity to grow the rural economy and encourage investment with improved access to markets, service hubs, and industrial centers. Mr. Speaker, our government has spent to date is at 1.296 billion from 2019 to 2022, with the equivalent completion of 1,066 kilometers of roads, and brought to good condition out of the target of 3,000 kilometers, which is 35.53% achievement. Mr. Speaker, we are on track to bring to good condition 3,000 kilometers of road, the provincial and the district economic roads, by 2027. Mr. Acting Speaker, there have been many recent heavy rain and flood-related emergencies, mainly in the southern region, affecting rural accessibility for our communities. Our provincial works managers have been directed to work with the local authorities to respond to these emergencies and restore full access by this week. Mr. Acting Speaker, under the Connect PNC program, we are also upgrading and replacing 3,000 meters of overdue bridge structures to the required design standards and mitigate climate change risks on the main highways. Mr. Speaker, this component also includes 2,000 meters of rural standard bridges on the rural roads to increase rural access for the rural population. The total cost will be 1 billion at 200 million per annum between 2023 to 2027. Mr. Acting Speaker, our government has spent 195.57 million over the last 4 years, with a corresponding achievement of 165 bridges, equating to 3,000 meters completed on the rural roads and 591.44 meters on the national highways. Mr. Speaker, we are implementing major replacement and upgrading of 71 major bridges on the Highlands Highway to standard 2-lane, and another 2,000 meters of rural bridges program for the remainder of the program. Mr. Acting Speaker, because of my department's overreaching role and responsibility for roads and bridges, every time a road or bridge is in a crisis situation, those affected do not call the District Development Authority, nor the provincial government, nor the Department of National Planning and Monitoring, where all the funds for the subnational roads and bridges are being held. Mr. Speaker, the affected people instead call the Department of Works and Highways. Likewise, you, the members of Parliament, also bring your grievances concerning your roads and bridges every time to me. Mr. Speaker, yet my department is not given the funds for the subnational roads and bridges. My appeal to those agencies holding on to funds for roads and bridges is to work with my department to deliver those projects at the approved and expected standards. Mr. Speaker, Acting Speaker, Connect PNG is not business as usual. As many sales and critics are saying out there, our government is rethinking the way enabling economic road transport infrastructure development projects should be funded and delivered. We are looking beyond the short-term needs to build better roads to meet future long-term demands across all of Papua New Guinea. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in order to achieve this outcome, the government is focused on more evidence-based investment decisions to get more and better quality infrastructure for less cost. Mr. Speaker, government has allocated under ADB loan 100 million funding for proper design and feasibility studies as a compulsory requirement to ensure large investment cost on big economic highways, starting with Momase Corridor and Trans-Island Highway Corridor, meet the economic and technical viability standards and tests. Mr. Acting Speaker, guaranteed long-term funding is a key success factor to roll out the Connect PNC program in a timely manner. Mr. Acting Speaker, in recognizing the ongoing underfunding issues and its impact on the program targets, the Marape Rosso government, in line with the Funding Act 2021, has committed 7 billion for the remainder of the Phase 1 from 2023 to 2027 program to achieve the program targets. Mr. Acting Speaker, the government's Connect PNC program is now underpinned by Connect PNC Implementation and Funding Arrangement Act 2021, which ensures guaranteed long-term stream of funding over the life of the program. Mr. Acting Speaker, the key provision in this act is to allocate a minimum of 5.6% in the annual budget for the program period out of the total revenue forecasted in the budget. Mr. Speaker, let me also highlight here that the program covers all 4 regions, all provinces, and all districts of the country, including our region of Bougainville, Autonomous Bougainville. This program covers our special region of Bougainville, Autonomous Region of Bougainville. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, there is equal distribution of road projects and funding to all regions to give equal economic opportunity to everyone without leaving no one behind. Mr. Acting Speaker, let me also acknowledge and recognize our donor and development partners who are contributing more than 50% of the capital expenditure from loans and grants funding. The Asian Development Bank, World Bank, Australian Aid, Japanese Aid through JICA, Chinese Aid through Asian Bank, tax credit scheme from our project areas, Australian Infrastructure Financing Facility Loan, and Indian Asian Bank. The funding support, Mr. Speaker, this funding support from our donors and partners come with strong governance and management structures to ensure long-term funding is guaranteed and, importantly, expenditure is strictly for the intended purpose. As a result, projects funded under the loans and grants are completed in a timely manner, meeting the required scope and standards. Mr. Acting Speaker, the Connect PNC program is about building roads now to secure the economic future of PNC, to make PNC become middle-income country by 2040. Unfortunately, the future is still a long road ahead with many challenges to overcome, and is therefore important for us to work together. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is like the promised land of milk and honey that was not served on a golden plate as promised to the children of Israel, but was created by the children of Israel themselves through sheer determination and hard work. Mr. Acting Speaker, as far as infrastructure-related development is concerned, Papua New Guinea is at a critical juncture to build reliable infrastructure that must drive value and economic future for our people. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the Connect PNG program is critically important for PNG and requires timely and adequate funding, resources to ensure program targets and milestones are achieved in a timely manner. Mr. Deputy Speaker, subnational road authorities are supported by increased funding through the Department of National Planning and Monitoring, technical support from the Department of Works and Highways. Mr. Acting Speaker, overall administration and political and financial decentralization requires proper capacity and resources to implement development management and maintenance responsibility, so that this will be done gradually over time in line with capacity growth. Mr. Acting Speaker, to ensure an orderly transfer of powers and accountability, road management performance agreements are being signed between the department and each province and each district. There is already a partnership framework with clear demarcation of roles and responsibilities between Department of Works and Highways and the subnational authorities. For this arrangement to work, budget funding must be aligned and distributed fairly rather than the current centralized system. Mr. Acting Speaker, in conclusion, if the government is to transform PNG from a low-income country to a middle-income country and improve the country's ranking on the Human Development Index, it cannot be business as usual. We must prioritize our expenditure areas so that PNG's scarce funding resources can achieve maximum impact on the economy and the lives of the people. Connect PNG program is one of the such priorities the government must fund fully. With 100% road connectivity, PNG shall never be the same again. Connecting the unconnected, reaching the unreached is a must for me as the Minister for Works and the Highways. Under Phase 1, work on the national highways and on the transnational and the central Milne Bay missing link roads is progressing well, so that they are completed in order for our people from the Momose Highlands regions and Milne Bay province can drive to Port Moresby and celebrate the PNC's 50 years Golden Jubilee in 2025. Yes, together we can do it for PNG and help people. With that, let me, as our Parliament and our people, it's the road that grow economy. Connect PNG is real. Support the Department of Works and Highways so we can deliver, and this government so we can deliver Connect PNG by 2020 to 2040. Thank you.
The Honourable Governor of Morobe.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. I move that the Parliament take note by the statement of the Works Minister, and I want to debate on this statement.
Make your debate.
The Acting Speaker, from the outset, I want to thank the Honourable Minister for Works for the preparation of the statement in relation to the road and the bridges that the government has a mission to deliver to Papua New Guinea. His statement previously, he gave a detailed statement, and I commend him. And in this case today, he have complemented with the ones that he had missed in his previous statement, and I commend him for his statement. Mr. Acting Speaker, I was a young lawyer in 1984, and I was in the public service to 19 90. And there was, not like before, not like today, there was assassination. Today is assassination of lawyers in the public service. There's so many. But in those days, there were few lawyers in the public sector. And we had to travel within the breadth of this country. And I had the benefit of landing in many of the, in fact, almost all of the districts in Papua New Guinea, except the island of Bougainville. And we traveled far and wide by the sea transport to help to defend the people who were charged and accused of committing criminal crimes. And I know this country very well. This country is full of mountains, very steep mountains. And this country is full of big rivers to cross. This country is a country of crowds. And it's difficult to get to land at the places because there is a dark clouds and difficult for planes to land. And making it difficult for people who are there in those land, in their land, their traditional land. And land, they take it to their hearts and they take it to their life, and the land is the integral part of their life. Therefore, they continue to exist on that land. Doesn't matter the road hasn't gone there. Doesn't matter the boat has not occurred, the jetties and wharves have not been built. Doesn't matter the difficulty they faced from the time immemorial and this present time. But they continue to live in their land, on their land, Mr. Acting Speaker. And I can understand, and I bear the hardship that the government of our country, the consecutive government of this country, to deliver roads to the width and the breadth of this country. And with the Kina devaluation, our Kina is really down, the value of Israel down, and we can get machines from overseas to come and help us to construct the roads and to construct bridges is a very expensive exercise, Mr. Acting Speaker. And we face this country, government in, government out. We continue to face this dilemma, Mr. Acting Speaker. And Mr. Minister, I'd like to humbly commend you. You're the great minister. You're a thick and thick minister. You have traveled the width and the breadth of this country, physically, with your staff. Because from the reports that you present to this Parliament, having read them and having perused them and read them, I'm satisfied you have actually physically, really and truly traveled this country. You travel them. And when you plan to connect the road to places never connected by road, where the people live, Minister, you've got a country at heart. This government, as a country, at its heart. With the little resources, you are targeting the road construction of bridges to those areas where the people live, where the people don't want to come out. They want to live there, and the government will bring the road there. Government will bridge the bridge, construct a bridge to bridge them, to get there, to help them develop their places. And your slogan to connecting the unconnected and reaching the unreached is the right slogan. That's right for this country. You want to touch those places. Like, for instance, Mr. Speaker, like in Morbi province, we have to connect the road from 40 Mile to Sili City, then to Langama, to Sewi, to Meniamia, to Kaintiba, and down to the Gulf province. That's where the people live. That's where the good valleys exist. And we have to connect the road there. You got it that in your plan. Mr. Minister, I see it. And I've been to some places like Telefomin. I landed there in your district. You were not a member. I was a young lawyer. I went there to defend one fellow there. And I know Telefomin is a difficult country. And we need to build a road there. And you're trying to get the road connected to Telefomin. Hard-working people. You want to connect the road there, Mr. Acting Speaker. And some of the top places in this country, connecting from Kikoli all the way to Southern Islands. Nice valley there, big thick forest, fertile land that we have to develop. I flew over those places. I saw it. And the Pacific. I was once taught the Pacific is full of swamps and no land there. When I was a small growing up, and little did I know from the geography lessons that I learned at high school. But when I went to Pacific's got a big valley. My goodness, biggest valley there. And I'm sure you're going to help to connect the road. I see it in your plan. Yeah, Mr. Minister and Mr. Acting Speaker. And all the other places that you mentioned them in the statement that you provide here. You got it right, Mr. Acting Speaker. He's got it right, the Acting Speaker. He got it right. Those places need to be connected by road. He's got it right. It's got it right, and I fully endorse. The only issue, the Acting Speaker, is that we will try our best. And I'd like to, at this juncture, Mr. Acting Speaker, I want to thank our donors. Our donors. They come in to help us. The Australian government and Japanese government, the Chinese government, and the monetary organizations will provide money. The country's there, but the monetary organization, International Monetary Organization, who will come in to give us money either as a donation, either as a grant, or as with conditions that we're going to pay them, repay them. All those monetary organizations, they come in to help. And I support you. We must thank them. And we must comply with the conditions that they give, because that's their money. They come from the hard work. The taxpayers in that country pay those money. And the government, the wisdom of those governments that try to help our government and services to our people. Therefore, we must comply with the conditions that they give. You can't run away from those conditions. I have no money by making nothing. They want to help us. Their heart is here. They want to help us. But their conditions, and we must comply with their conditions. And Mr. Acting Speaker and the Minister, I agree with you and I fully concur with you. We must comply with the conditions. Conditions of the monies that they're giving us to help develop our country. I said thank you. And Mr. Minister, Acting Speaker, I can see the second mission is to deliver roads to places where there is economic potential. Like, for instance, in the Garaina Valley of the province that I administer, there's no road linking Garaina yet, but the valley has a big potential for agricultural purposes. We grow tea there. In actual fact, the tea that is growing in the Waki Valley was, first of all, naturally was done in Garaina Valley, planted in Garaina, and then taken up to the highlands. But never mind, let's not argue about that, but they have taken up, they're doing it well for the benefit of this country. But Garaina Valley has got a big potential there. And I can see that your road to connect Morobe and the northern province, or Oro province to the central province, will enable the people there, the valley there will be utilized. And I can see the road going from Morobe to Saido and to Medang. It's going to cross over one of the good valleys that we have it there. It's called Nanaya, Ronjika, Singorokai. That valley's got a big agricultural potential. And I can see, Mr. Minister, if the road gets through this valley, the people there are going to venture into the crops, planting crops that can be sold and have money, produce money for them. And other livestock, they can be raised there in those valleys. So I can see that where there is economic potential, Mr. Acting Speaker, there is a wisdom of this government through the Works Minister to connect a road to where there is an economic potential. And I commend you. I'm with you fully in heart. I'm not there sitting there with you doing the job, physical job, but you must know you have someone out there giving you the moral support that you need. You need. And the government, the minister and the department and the government of Honorable the Prime Minister, James Marabe and John Rosso, your mission to deliver a road to the economic potential is a salient proposal. And I fully commend you for those things. And also, big bridges that you need to construct. Big bridges, like from Pinsafen, like from Ley, all the way to Pinsafen, to Wasudea, all the way to Medang. We need to construct big bridges there. Very expensive bridges, but without the bridge, you can't take the car from one side of the river to the another side. You have to construct bridges. So equally so, I can see you're trying to marry the bridge program and marry the road program together to see that we're all connected to PNG, and particularly also to the places where the economic potential. Mr. Acting Speaker, I see your vision is right. And if we get many bridges from Ley all the way to Pinsap, to Medang, and all the way to the Civics, those bridges are constructed. Equally so with the construction of roads. Mr. Acting Speaker, we will be fully connecting PNG. And all the other places that Papuan provinces, you're doing it from Abau all the way to Milne Bay. I traveled those roads by the sea and by plane from above, from heaven above. I saw those difficult land to construct a road before. Today, you have a plan to get the road across. I thank you. And all the other places from Borena all the way to Goilala, a very difficult country. I traveled by helicopter almost once in the 2 weeks over Goilala, and I must tell you that there's a lot of people living in the Goilala. And there is economic potential in Goilala. And you must put the road from Ley to Goilala to Garaina to Ley. Right? Get that one down. I haven't seen it. You get that one down. And then from Goilala to Popondeta in the Oro province. Get that one also down. It's a difficult country, but people love to live there. And they're hardworking people. They're hardworking people. You just have to put the road. And you're going to see the conversion of that hard work to the utility, tilling and the utility of the land, and they will produce economic development for themselves and for this country. And Mr. Acting Speaker, I hope that the Minister will add that one in. These other ones that you have not added, I'm telling you now, add them in. And we'll see. And for the road maintenance, I want to commend you, Mr. Minister, I want to commend you for the Ley Road. Ley no road belong Lutawenge. Ley road belong Papua New Guinea. City road belong Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea. So you're doing it. With that mind, you're doing it. The road construction called a concrete road. I introduced a concrete road. I have to fight 12 years to get the concrete road commenced. 12 years, remember. Mr. Minister, you know, come here and me fight long and me to talk. And I'd like to commend the former Prime Minister for Papua New Guinea, Peter O'Neill, Honorable Peter O'Neill. He commenced the concrete road. And now you are coming to complete it. I say thank you to you. On behalf of the people of Morobe and Papua New Guinea, I say thank you to you. And the member for Ley, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, he's physically seeing it that those things are done, and I congratulate you. I thank you. Andre Mitok, thank you to you in the floor of the Parliament. You're doing a nice job. Seeing the completion of the concrete road, and then completion of the four-way lane to Nashap and to the Warayarap. I said thank you, Mr. Minister. You and the Secretary came. You make sure that our brothers from the Chinese complete the road, and the Chinese are lacking money by walk. You came to make sure that they got the money. They're going to get the job done. And so, Mr. Minister, you've done it well. Having said that, I want to conclude my contribution in this debate that apart from the road, apart from the construction of road by bulldozer and grader and all of those things, and apart from the constructing of bridges by those equipment, I want to recommend some ideas for the road system, for the infrastructure that we need to have. One of which is the railway. Mr. Acting Speaker, I recommended railway. from Leh to Ramu, and eventually maybe you can take to all the civics and to the Buddha one day, because I saw those valleys. We can do it. There's a big potential there. But we start small. We start where we can start first. Mr. Acting Speaker, I want to propose that we should construct the railway from the city of Leh all the way to Ramu. Railway is good because it can carry heavy tonnage of goods. The rail will do it in the carriages. They can carry heavy cargoes there. And it's cheaper. It's cheaper, the railways. And I recommend the railway not on the land, but maybe build a post and put the railway on the post. Because between Leh and Ramu is sitting on water. It's sitting on water. And I don't want to experience like the Indians. They got a very serious train crash which killed 255 people. I don't want to experience those kind of people. So consider railway on the post. I recommend it. The engineers will get it to you. Like the Minister for Higher Education, he's an engineer, so he's going to help you design that road. So I consider railway, and maybe we can consider build, operate, transfer. Build, operate, transfer. Where we can sign agreement, and whoever's got the money can come and build, operate for maybe 20 years, hand over the project, because hand over the infrastructure to us, because we desperately need that kind of the infrastructure. Secondly, I want to recommend the Honourable Works Minister, we should consider tunnels, building tunnels, right? Tunnels. There are some places that we can build tunnels. Like, for instance, I can give you an example. Warakumaru is giving a biggest headache to every minister in this parliament, and the ministers in the Morobe parliament. We're having biggest headache. We can't build a bridge across because the strength of the nature and the toughness of the nature beats us all. All the engineering technology cannot match it. So I would recommend that you put the tunnel from Labu all the way to Buang, arrive in Buang, where the member for Buang comes from. Burolo comes from. Yeah, Buang Burolo. You can put a tunnel there and then take it on from there to Bayun by a tunnel. So we will avoid Warakumaru. And some other places like that we can build tunnels. Consider tunnels. And then also, thirdly, consider cable car. Why not? We've got plenty of hydropowers going to be generated. Now, a couple are in existence now. But we can't generate more hydropower to run the cable cars. That we don't disturb the forest, we don't disturb the trees, we don't disturb the birds, we don't disturb the insect. You don't have to worry about the landslide, all of those things. You just go and then say hello to the nature and then get to your destination in the air. There, down there, you're in the air, say hello to the nature down there. So we consider that cable car. And waterways up in the Pacific. In the Pacific, there's a good places where we can build waterways. Waterways. You bring the road, bring the water, and you go by the water up. Like you're building a road to certain places, you can build a waterway to certain places. You can do it. You can do it. It's done in other countries. We can do it. So let us not confine ourselves, Mr. Acting Speaker, to the orthodox means of infrastructure that the Australians and the Germans and the other people who came to this country have told us to do. We should not stuck to the orthodox transport and the infrastructure. Let's be creative. We're an independent country. We've been to university. We've got plenty of universities, graduating so many engineers, mining engineers and civil engineers, and too many engineers are also in this parliament. Let's use our intellectual faculty to the fullest, and making sure that we have the innovative ideas to provide the appropriate the infrastructure and transport we need for this country. Like country like Goilala, sorry, don't get offended. Those places need tunnels through, and those places need the cable cars through to those places. You cannot be left behind. I love the slogan, nobody should be left behind. And before we reach 2050, we should demonstrate that nobody's going to be left behind. We're going to get the right infrastructure, appropriate infrastructure there, so nobody's left behind. And when the 2050 comes, we all rejoice, and from the top of the mountain or wherever we rejoice, that 2050 mission has been achieved with the appropriate infrastructure and the transport system that we put it in by the orthodox way or by innovative and creative way. Mr. Acting Speaker, thank you for giving me the lead. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kokopo.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, long recognizing all people of Kokopo. Also join our senior Governor Lomorobe long debate, long road through the Connect PNG. We talk thank you, long Minister, the hardworking Minister. This statement, it's a second statement, and it's a sign of an hardworking Minister through the Marape Rosso government. You have to be commended. This is the second statement. And also, the statement indicates the kilometer of roads, the construction of the highways through Connect PNG throughout Papua New Guinea. Minister, Emi state him, Acting Minister, Olsen. Emi no walk lo talk nothing, but Emi walk about lo inspecting all road inside lo country. And not only selecting some of the regions, but it's a fair distribution to the regions throughout Papua New Guinea, and we have to commend the Marape Rosso government through the Minister. Long bring him, this is a second statement, he come inside the Parliament. Of course there are challenges that yes, you may go through long end, but yes, we need Connect PNG. And I'd like to thank you, the government, through the Minister, the New Britain Highway. And New Britain Highway, almost 20 years now, we play work talk long end, and now it has been captured again into this budget. Inside the Pomio, now long South Coast Corridor Development. We go to Kerama, long all regions. Thank you, Minister. This is something that yes, MSAP, bring him, connect him, lives belong all people inside the country. We're trying to bring the regions and the provinces closer and connect them. Time we work talk ship. Yes, sample now we work fishing problem. Inside long connect PNG long all highways. Now we can connect him. District long opposition leader Blayumi. By connect now through the Pomio and go down long area of long West New Britain. Inside now long all districts, now provinces. Now me like commend him, Minister. Me like to thank you through long select him sample all cities. Now me believe also Minister. Kokopo one big priority you now bring him 4 lane you go inside long Toko. One kind of Hagen. Those are the cities that we work talk long end. How we can build the infrastructure through the cities, now bringing more people to come inside. Like inside, we host as a fourth city, we play hosting New Guinea Highlands. We believe that yes, maybe some other plans that will come in the future. Or some Governor Blayumi Lomorobe work talk long end. But inside the works, Acting Speaker, me like him to solve by him improving all works departments inside long provinces. So that we have to take responsibilities of works departments. And of course the Minister have stated through his statement that Haninit long Connect PNG, we cannot expect Connect PNG to the districts. But we will work together. We will work together through the districts and the provinces. And yes, me plan now we work bung one time. But me like commend him can Works Minister, and we believe also yes, we will continue. We will continue to work together to address some of the issues that yes, we are facing. One or two things now. We are losing most of our engineers inside of Papua New Guinea. Governor Blomorobe, Emi Toklong and Pini. Sampla now we work long go out long all Narapla countries. Now only stop inside lo narapla countries. We need to bring them back so that only can halivim yungi. The work specifications inside lo Papua New Guinea, plenty of contractors where now we walk along, we no walk behind him. And as a result, we are losing most of the new roads. Now continue long deterioration of roads because maybe there is a failure. There is no proper or full-time supervision through long all works department throughout the provinces. And that is one of the big issues that yes, you may work lot of. The scope and the BOQ, the bill of quantities, that only work long, put him inside long all contracts. Again, we need to sit down to address him this through the works department. We have to come up with specific costings of roads rather than contractors are coming in. Now working up all costings belong all na ME overcost along all roads that yes, you supposed to building. So acting speaker, me talk also me support lo this and as a chairman, me plan now too by going inside lo Papua New Guinea, travel out lo country so that me plan now by working scrutinizing all companies na through long all engineers so that we can come up and help the minister to provide him report and can be presented to the parliament. Acting Minister, sorry, Acting Speaker, me commend him this statement, na me support him, na me talk also yes. Through long all bridges, also me play talk thank you to all sample all bridges that me play kiss him on behalf long Pomio now member and receive him sample all Bailey bridges belong all big water. And that will enable us to drive through Pogopo, Igolo, Pomio, and I go down lo West Britain. One kind through long all Narapla, all provinces throughout lo Papua New Guinea. One time this me support him statement lo Minister. Thank you, Acting Speaker.
Honorable members, I will interrupt the debate and suspend Parliament for lunch. All members, I suspend Parliament for lunch. Resume at 2 p.m.